Right, and we are alive. Okay. All right. Let's just get this all set up over here. Okay. All right, let's see here. Hang on just one second, guys. I gotta get this going here. Can anybody hear me? Can somebody chat in the live chat? I just want to see if I can see your questions come up. Yes, nice. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, sweet, guys. I guess we're live. This is super weird. This is my first live stream. Yeah, so you guys, I did a live stream the other day with John from Daily Electrician, and it was a ton of fun. It was like our third video that we've collabed together on his channel, and it was just a really good time. We hung out at his house, and we did like a 3-hour live stream. And I've just been really busy in my own personal life. I've had a lot going on, and so it's been kind of tricky to find time to make videos, but I still wanted to go ahead and do a live stream for you guys. You guys ask me a ton of good questions all the time in the comments of my videos and on Instagram, and I really like to answer in depth when you guys ask me those questions, and sometimes I just don't have the time to answer all those questions in the way that I would like to. So anyways, I wanted to do this today for you guys. Tim, what is going on? My brother-in-law. It's cool to have you here, man. Yeah, so basically that's what this is today. I'm planning on doing this for maybe a half hour, and if a lot of people show up, maybe we'll go a little bit longer. But, you know, this channel is meant to be a resource for you guys if you're interested in becoming an electrician or if you're already one. So, yeah, I want to open this up to you guys, and if you guys have any questions, go ahead and send them my way. And if not, then I'll just go ahead and go to the comment section on some of my videos and see if I can find some questions. All right, looks like we got a question from Armando. So how long does it take for a company to get back to you after you submit an application? So that's a really good question. With the Ibew, which is what I'm familiar with, you don't directly apply for a company. You apply for the Ibew itself, and then once you go through the whole application process, so you fill out your application, you about a month later have your aptitude test, about a month after that you have your interview, and then depending on how well you rank, that's when you get your call to start working for a company. And in my case, I ranked, I think it was 65, and so it took about 3 months after the time that I had my interview to you know, work my way down to the #1 spot and get called to start my apprenticeship. And then there was a 2-week boot camp here at Local 48. They do that. Not all locals have a boot camp, and some locals call it a basic skills class. But yeah, so altogether from the time that I applied to the time that I actually started working, it was about 6 months, which is actually relatively quick when you're talking about getting in with a union, because you know there can be thousands of people that apply every single year. If you're applying for a company, that's just going to be, you know, with a non-union, then that's going to be just kind of really all on them, you know, on how fast they process paperwork and how fast they need somebody and all that. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. What kind of work do you do? Like, do you work at a hospital, school, etc.? Yeah, Eric, thanks for the question, man. I am a hospital sustaining electrician. So I basically have a home at St. Vincent Hospital in Beaverton, Oregon. It's a Providence hospital, and it's really cool. It's a really sweet gig. A lot of people that I talk to that are, you know, in the trade, but they work at other job sites, a lot of them wish that they could work at a hospital as a sustaining guy. And then there's a lot of people that also really don't like hospital work because there's all these kind of like infection risk, extra measures that you have to take to be clean and safe and all that. But as far as the type of work that I do, I mean, just imagine what a sustaining electrician would do, right? Or a service electrician. So, you know, the guys that have vans that go from job to job, and they'll, you know, add new lights, add power, add data, you know, whatever it is that the customer wants, that's basically what a service electrician does. And me being a sustaining electrician at a hospital, I'm basically doing the same type of stuff that a service electrician would do, but I have a home, which is cool because we have our laydown with all of our tools and materials. And so what a typical day would look like for me is, you know, in the morning, my boss will be like, okay, here's your assignment today. I need you to go and cut in a new receptacle for the portable x-ray machine. That's something that I did yesterday. And then, you know, once I finish that up, maybe it takes a few hours, then I go up to him and he has the next assignment for me. And occasionally we'll get big projects that we do, like last year, at the beginning, actually before 2020, late 2019, we started doing a big ICU job, and there were 16 patient rooms. It was a pretty big project. So occasionally we get those big jobs where, you know, we're doing like a lot of rough-in and a lot of basically new construction. But working at a hospital, you also get all of the sustaining stuff as well. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty sweet gig. I enjoy it. I've got an interview in July. This is from Joseph Hood. I've got an interview in July. What kind of questions can I expect? What tools should I bring? When is the drug test? So I'm assuming, Joseph, that you're applying with the Ibew. And yeah, if you are, so I can't guarantee you, you know, what questions you're going to be asked, but typically the types of questions that you're going to be asked, in one way or another, it might be worded differently, but you always want to be prepared to answer, why do you want to be an electrician? And be prepared to answer, why should they choose you? And something that I've talked about a lot in a lot of my videos is basically a big way to prepare for your interview is to work on your portfolio, which consists of your resume, your cover letter, and then your actual like portfolio piece. And in your portfolio, you're going to have basically a collection of photos from projects that you've worked on, things that you fixed, maybe some volunteer work that you've done. There's all sorts of different things that you want to include in your portfolio. But the reason I bring that up is because if they ask you a question that is something like, why should we choose you? Well, you can use your portfolio to basically prove to them why you're absolutely the best candidate for the apprenticeship and why they should choose you. So in a way that I would answer that is, well, actually, let me just tell you how I specifically answered that question when I got in. So basically, yeah, that was one of the questions that I had. Why should we choose you? And what I did was I pointed to my portfolio and I said, look, if you guys take a look at my portfolio, my resume, you'll see that in every single job that I've ever had, within a short amount of time, I was promoted to a position of leadership. And so what that shows you is that, you know, not only do I work hard at the companies, but they also trust me enough to promote me to a position of leadership. And so basically what that shows you is that, you know, while other people can say that they are the best applicant for the apprenticeship and they can say that they're a hard worker, I can prove to you 100% that I am a hard worker, and that at anything that I've ever done and anything that I will continue to do, that, you know, I'm going to do the absolute best that I can, and other people also see that in me. So that's kind of how I answered it. But yeah, hopefully that helps prepare you for your interview a little bit. All right, the GOAT. I have an interview with Ibew Local 269 in 3 weeks. Any tips and suggestions? Yeah, so that's a very similar question. If you guys haven't seen my interview video and then also my cover letter, resume, and portfolio video, those 4 videos are going to really do a good job of preparing you for your interview. Honestly, most of the tips that I would suggest are going to be in those videos, and you know, I could mention things right now, whereas in those videos I really took a lot of time beforehand to to make sure that I mentioned everything that I wanted to in those. But yeah, the biggest thing would just be to have your portfolio ready to go. You know, have photos of projects that you've worked on, things that you want the interview committee to see, and have a an idea of what you want to say for specific questions. And like I said to Joseph, the 2 questions that you want to be prepared for is why do you want to be an electrician, and why should we choose you? And you got to keep in mind, so they're going to have thousands of people, at least that's how it is at our local, that apply every single year for the apprenticeship. And so there's going to be tons of people that show up and have their interview, and they're going to answer the question by saying something just like, oh, well, I've heard about being an electrician and it sounds cool, so I thought that I'd just apply and try it out and see how it goes. And they get tons of people that apply that just aren't super serious about really wanting to get in. So if you can prove to them that you want this and that you're the best and that you're going to do whatever it takes to get in, then you're going to do a really good job. So use this 3 weeks to prepare and make yourself the best applicant. That's what I would say. Okay, Drake, what's going on, man? Appreciate you chiming in. Ethan Cohen, which is better, DC or AC over long distances? I mean, yeah, that's a good question. That's a theory question. Well, what I would say is that AC is generally going to be safer, right? Because the way that the sine wave works is, the sine wave goes up and the sine wave goes down, and there's basically a break in between that phase rotation where the electricity is basically off. And so you have basically what that's called is the frequency. And so here in the United States, we have 60 hertz. That's the frequency that power is provided at. And so what that means is 60 times per second, you're going to have 60 small little breaks basically in that current, whereas DC is constant. I don't know what would be better over long distances, but I guarantee you as soon as I get off of this live stream, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, that one's better. But if anyone wants to chime in and maybe answer that question, then that would be good. Either way, thanks for asking, Ethan. Justin, best nut drivers for running nuts on, long all threads. So what I have is basically just a pretty simple nut driver set from Kind Tools that has served me very well, and it's been a really good one. One thing that I like about those nut drivers is, so not only are you going to have the heads on the tool for the different size nuts, but the shaft of the actual nut driver is hollow, so you can actually continue to basically screw those nuts, and the rod is just going to go up into the screwdriver. So that's what I've used. That's always worked out well for me. I've seen other guys, they'll get like the Klein. It's not their 11-in-1, but basically they have like a multi-tool that is a bunch of nut drivers in one. So maybe that's a good thing worth looking into. One trick that I actually like to use, and I'm probably going to do a quick tip on this at some point, is if you take a drill and you can chuck up whatever you want to it, a hole saw or whatever, and then you can put some duct tape around that. And basically, once you use the drill, the duct tape on the hole saw will spin around, and you can actually press that up against the nut and zzz, pretty much just screw in or unscrew whatever nut you're working with really, really quick and easy. So yeah, kind of cool. Kind of a cool little tip. What's going on, Braden? Appreciate you watching. Yeah, no problem, Armando. Local 46, it may take from a week to up to 2 years. Yeah, Tim's my brother-in-law. He's a general foreman out at Local 46. I have mentioned him before in my videos. He makes great money out there. He really knows what's going on. And yeah, basically, just like with here, there's thousands of people that apply every single year. So you may apply right now, and if you don't rank very well on the list, you may unfortunately be waiting a long time, like Tim said, up to 2 years. But I'm pretty sure the way it is there is similar to how it works here, where you can actually basically just re-interview and try to improve your rank on the list. That way you can get in sooner. So, my favorite sports team. Well, as far as soccer goes, man, I'm not a big soccer fan, not a big baseball fan, so I wouldn't even really have a favorite for either. Oregon Ducks would definitely be my favorite college football team. I'd have to say probably the 49ers for professional. And as far as basketball goes, the Portland Trailblazers. Come on, that's where I live. Got to represent. Kyle, does the electrical work welcome a lot of veterans / prior military? Yes. And that is actually, Kyle, a video that I want to do very soon. I have a buddy who basically he just applied and did very well on his aptitude test and interview and all that, and he is a veteran. And I know that there's also, as a veteran, you get pushed to the front of the list, is from my understanding, as far as like your aptitude test goes. So I don't think you actually need to wait like everybody else does for the aptitude test to show up. Now I need to double check on that, and I'll get all those facts correct in my video. But yeah, the Ibew is very, very pro military. Huge amount of respect for our veterans. So if you have served, thank you. That is awesome. We really appreciate that. And I think that you're going to find that if you apply to become an electrician, that you are definitely going to have an advantage over other people because of that. And I think one of the reasons is just because that shows that, you know, you're a very hard worker, and you know, that you serve your community, right? The Ibew wants to hire the best of the best. And if you're a veteran, I mean, that says a lot about you, that you were serving in the military. So how many times have you been laid off while being in the union? I have actually never been laid off. And, you know, I know other people that have been in for a shorter amount of time than me that have been laid off. My brother, he got in about 3 months after I got in. And, you know, he was working for a smaller company here in Portland, Oregon. And basically when all of the pandemic stuff hit, and you know, some companies did slow down a little bit, not all of them, but since he was working for a smaller company, they kept him on as long as they could, and then unfortunately there was just no more work for him. So, but now he's working for the same company that I am, OEG, here in Portland, Oregon. So, yeah, I've never been laid off. I know lots of guys that have been in the trade for, you know, 20, 30 years that have never been laid off. And then I also know some guys that have been laid off, you know, multiple times. So they do happen, but and it's something to prepare for probably and expect, right? You want to have a savings built up in case anything like that were to ever happen. But yeah, you know, for the most part, if you're a hard worker and times are good and your company sees value in you, then you're gonna stay around. They're not gonna want to let you go. All right, let's see. Wow, so many comments, you guys. I'm gonna have to answer a little bit faster. Jelly King, graduating from high school in about a week. I'm looking to enter an apprenticeship as fast as possible. Right on. There are two companies looking for graduates for my school. How should I prepare? Yeah, that's a great question, Jelly King. So it sounds like you're probably applying for the non-union, I'm assuming, if you're applying directly for a company, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I am a huge advocate for the Ibew just because I know, especially as an apprentice, you know, how great the benefits are and just how set up you are and the pensions and all that. But my advice here would pretty much be the same as I would give to anybody applying for the union, is just to use this time right now to work on your portfolio. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say that, check out my portfolio video. Start working on projects and stuff right now. Start doing volunteer work. Start, you know, maybe getting some online certifications, whatever you can that you think would impress the companies that you are applying for. Start doing those type of things now. Document them and compile everything together in a portfolio. And then be prepared to answer basically why they should choose you and why you want to be an electrician whenever your interview comes up. Jonah K, what steps should someone take to get a Class A CDL after passing the permit test at the DMV? Okay, I'm assuming that you're asking maybe to drive like a company rig or something like that. I do not know. I have never actually done that. I've never gotten a CDL from the DMV. Typically, when you're working for a company, they're going to be providing you with a company vehicle, and then any sort of, if that's something that they are going to give you. I don't have a company vehicle, but some other guys that I work with that travel quite a bit, they do have company vehicles. But yeah, I would imagine that they would kind of work with you and help you, to take whatever steps you need to if you're driving a big enough company rig. All right. Solopan, maybe I'm pronouncing that right. I had my inside wireman interview last month. I'm placed at rank 83, right on. 186 people ahead of me. How long do you think it will take to be called into boot camp? So, based off of my rank here that I got, which was 65, and my brother ranked 118 if I remember, 83 is a good rank. So, the thing though with that is different locals are bringing in different amounts of apprentices each month. So you may find that even if you do have a good rank like 83 at your local, maybe they're not taking in a ton of apprentices right now. Maybe they're not even taking in apprentices every month. So it could take a while, or it could be similar to how they're doing things here, where they're taking 18 new apprentices each month. So what I would suggest doing is just calling your training center, because they should be able to give you a rough idea of how many new apprentices they're taking in. That way you can kind of know what to expect. So that's what I would do. I would call the training center and see what they have to say. Eric, yeah, man, no problem. Snitch, what's up, man? You are here. If I remember right, your name is Adam. That is sweet. Yeah, Snitch was here for the daily electrician live stream that I did. So it's cool to see you back here, man. They want to know how much do you about when program in the interview. I'm not sure if I'm understanding that right. They want to know how much do you about when program in the interview. Let me read the next question. They want to know, okay, how much do you know about the program in the interview? So learn everything there is to know. Yeah, yep, about the program and what you will be doing on the job. Yeah, definitely. So you want to show that you have done your research, and that's something that I talk about a lot in my interview video, right? You want to, show that you're really, really interested in the company or the union, and that you've done your research, and maybe you can even list some projects that they've worked on. Anything that will basically show that you have researched and looked into the program is going to hugely benefit you. If there's like a mission statement or any core values or anything like that, it's definitely in your favor to memorize those and somehow tie those into your interview answers. That works really great. Luis, how many interviews does it take to finally get in? So for me, it took one interview. For my brother, it took one. I have a buddy right now who is applying, and I think he's already interviewed 3 times, and he still hasn't made it in. So there are, some people that just, keep applying again and again and interviewing, and, for whatever reason, they're just not getting the score that they're looking for to get accepted. And, so what I would say is, if you interview and you don't do very well, then that's fine. There's lots of people that don't get in their first time. But just use that time after your interview and before your next one to improve your qualifications. So maybe take some online college courses relating to electrical theory, work on your portfolio, do some projects, fix some things around the house, do some community service. Basically anything that is going to make you look like a better candidate, that's what you're going to want to do. And anybody can get in. Maybe it will take you 3 times to interview and get a good score, but you can definitely do this. And it's one of those things too where it's like, the more that they see you showing up to re-interview, it's like they're gonna know, dang, this person is really serious about wanting to get in. Let's get them in this time. So it can take a while or it could be quick. It just kind of depends. Christopher, hey mate, anywhere I can get some practice tests for the Ibew entry exam. I'm 35 and doing this as a second career. Okay. Studying on Khan Academy right now. Yes, that is awesome. Yeah, Khan Academy would be my #1 recommendation. That's what I used. I didn't actually use any like practice prep tests for the actual aptitude test, so I don't know any specific ones based off of my experience that I would recommend. Now, I have heard people talk about a website called iPrep, and I know that they do have some. Well, they definitely have classes to help you prepare for the aptitude test. Now, I don't know if they have a sample test. I would imagine that they would. So maybe look into that. But yeah, if you're studying Khan Academy and you're doing, oh gosh, what was it? I think it's pre-algebra, algebra basics, and algebra 1, those 3 topics. That is going to pretty much cover everything as far as the math components of the aptitude test go. Now, one thing that I would say is really important for the aptitude test is make sure that you know how to manipulate equations. So something that kind of threw me off a little bit, and it throws off some other people when they take their aptitude test, is you may see some questions where, you have, well, let me just kind of say one as an example. So you would have like x over y times z equals b plus c over x times y. So rather than having actual numbers, you're just going to have a bunch of variables that you're working with, and then maybe it'll say like solve for x. So you have to be good enough to manipulate equations even if there's no numbers. So basically you just have to understand, how those different math rules work, understand order of operations and all that. So yeah, just make sure that you are really good with basic algebra, solving those equations. World Star Twitter trends. Can I work as an electrician until I retire, or is it too physically demanding? Yeah, that's a really great question. It is definitely something that you can do until you retire, and I think that most people that get into the trade, they do work as an electrician until they retire. That being said, it is physically demanding, and I have only been in the trade for 4 years. A lot of people might not realize that I'm still an apprentice myself. I will be turning out here in just under a year, but already just being 4 years into it, like I'm feeling the toll that's taken on my body. And it's not like I'm doing any crazy heavy lifting or anything like that, but as an electrician, you're going to be doing a lot of very repetitive tasks, right? So you might be making up a bunch of lights or receptacles or whatever, for multiple days at a time, twisting wire nuts. And you would think, oh, twisting a wire nut, that's easy, that's not going to hurt. But repetitively doing that over and over again, like, it can really start to hurt. And some people will develop like carpal tunnel or arthritis, things like that. For me, I am already feeling a little bit of pain in my back, nothing too severe, but for example, I was doing a lot of overhead work, and basically I got a kink in my back, and over this last weekend, I just felt my back start tightening up more and more into where on Sunday, like my neck was just stuck sideways, and I had to have my wife massage my back and try to work out that knot so I could straighten out my neck again. So yeah, electrical work, just like any job in the trades, is physically demanding. I would say electrical work is one of the less physically demanding trades that you can be in, but that's why you just got to take precautions and save your knees, use knee pads every time you're going to be kneeling down. Don't lift anything too heavy. Just ask a buddy to help you lift something if need be. Making small little decisions like that every day is really going to save your body in the long run. So that way you can do this for the rest of your life, because it's a great career, And yeah, if you do that, then you could definitely do this until you retire. Guitar jams and beyond. Yes, I play guitar too. Sweet. Silly question, but what are some of the heaviest things that you need to lift in the electrical field? I briefly worked in plumbing as an apprentice and dealt with boilers and heavy cast iron pipe. Yeah, so that kind of actually segues off of that last question really nicely. So, gosh, the heaviest thing that I've ever had to lift, man, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but occasionally you're going to be lifting like 4-inch pipe, which, that can be pretty big and awkward and heavy to carry around. Daily, you're not really going to be lifting anything too heavy, and like I said, if there are those days where you're lifting something heavy or awkward, like just grab a buddy and have them help you out. Especially if you are in the Ibew, I know that they would want you to basically be as safe as you can, and yeah, just make sure that you do it safely and right, because one, they don't want anything to happen to you, but two, they also don't want to deal with any of the paperwork, right, of anybody getting hurt or anything like that. So yeah, nothing too heavy on the daily though. Sean Leon drums. Tesla proved AC was better at long distances. Yeah. You would need many more power stations to transmit DC. Yeah. In that, yeah. Now, as soon as you say that, like, yeah, I remember even learning about that in school. And that's one of the reasons also why in power lines the voltage is so high, like 12,470 volts. They crank up that voltage, that way they can have a smaller wire size, because voltage and basically if the voltage is higher, you're going to have less amps, and so they can transmit that over further distances. And then that's why when the power basically comes into your house, you have a transformer that steps it down from 12,470 volts to 120, 240. So, yep. Timothy Turk, AC is better for long distances. Look up Edison versus Tesla. Yeah. Pawning pawns. Do you guys use square tip screwdrivers or screws in the States? Here in Canada, it's pretty much universal for everything involved with residential installations and wood screws. I love square tipped screwdrivers, and we don't use them very often here. The times when I personally will use a square tip screwdriver is if I am tightening or loosening like a coupling or a connector, or if I'm working in a panel. A lot of times the breakers will have basically square slots, but the standard here would definitely be either a flathead or a Phillips screwdriver. So I also like to carry around a Klein Tools 11-in-1 with me all the time, because then you're pretty much set no matter what situation you're in. But yeah, the standard is either going to be flathead or Phillips here in the States. John Delta Street. I just finished my 3-month pre-apprenticeship certificate. Right on, congrats, man. I'm 20 and I'm thinking of eventually being a power plant operator. Cool. Do you think I will need a high school degree in adult work? I would say so. Yeah. Even here with the Ibew, just to become an electrician, you still need to have a high school diploma or a GED just to apply. And I think a lot of jobs that are related to, electrical work are also going to want that. So you said that you're 20, so I don't know if maybe you didn't finish high school or whatever happened, but yeah, if you need to take some more classes to maybe get your GED or something, I would definitely recommend doing that. One thing that you can do is, if you know which power plant you want to work at, then I would just start doing some research right now and see what their qualifications are just to apply. And that will kind of give you an idea of whether or not you even need to do that. But yeah, I would definitely recommend getting that for sure. Okay. Dang, so many questions, you guys. I need to go faster. Nacor, starting as an apprentice next Monday at a commercial industrial company. Worried about my math skills. What should I focus on? Awesome. So as far as like on the job math goes, you're never going to be using anything that's too math intensive, right? So basically just simple basic arithmetic is what you're going to be using mainly on the day-to-day, right? Because you're like taking measurements and maybe adding this measurement to this one, or even for bending pipe, like you're using very, very simple basic calculations where you're basically just multiplying, dividing, adding, or subtracting. But as far as like being an apprentice in school goes, that's where you need to be a little bit better at math, because working with, you know, AC, DC theory, you definitely will be using math quite a bit more. But the nice thing about that, at least the way that it works here, is you will basically learn everything as you go. So you don't have to be amazing right away. You just have to be good at listening and paying attention and asking questions, and then everything will just kind of build off of each other. So by the time that you get to fourth term, you know, you are doing some pretty complex equations to solve different things in AC theory, but you got there, you know, over the course of, you know, a couple years building off of different concepts that you've learned along the way. But yeah, I mean, and everybody has a calculator on their phone, right? So you don't have to be too amazing at math to be an electrician. Matthew James, what were you ranked, and what were you ranked when you first interviewed? I was ranked 65. Pretty sure that was what my rank was. And yeah, like I said, after I interviewed, it only took me 3 months to get the phone call to start my apprenticeship. Christian, hi, I'm 22 from Los Angeles, and luckily my fam plans to move soon. Right on. Can I start an apprenticeship and complete it in another state? Should I wait? I'm so lost, brother. So what I would recommend doing is, you know, definitely look into whatever apprenticeship programs are going on in the state that you're going to be moving to. If you are moving to Oregon, for example, then I would basically just start looking into Ibew Local 48's website right now, see what their qualifications are to apply, see when they are accepting applications, see when their next aptitude test is and all that. And there's definitely no reason why you couldn't apply if you were living out of state. But you know, they may have changed it, but you used to have to apply in person and actually go there on a Wednesday during like a certain time. But I think they may be accepting applications online now. I'm not positive, I'd have to check on that. But if that's the case, then yeah, I would definitely just apply now. And you know, you are definitely going to have to plan to fly out here or to whatever state you're applying for to do your aptitude test and your interview. So just know that you are going to need to be there for those things. But I don't see why you couldn't apply out of state. But yeah, also call them and find out. Timothy Turk, in some states as a veteran, you get pushed to the front of the list. Yeah. See, that's kind of what I thought. I didn't want to say that because I wasn't too sure, but I know as far as the aptitude test goes, I'm like 90% sure that you can take it anytime. And if that is the case, that you get pushed to the front of the list, then yeah, that's like a guaranteed in as a veteran, which is just crazy because of how competitive it is to get into the program. But in my opinion, that's very well deserved because you served your country and you definitely deserve that benefit. So that's awesome. KT, I did the application 3 weeks ago and I have just been waiting. Is there anything else I can do to speed it up? KT, what I would recommend doing is, yeah, 3 weeks is kind of a little while to still not hear anything, so I would just recommend giving them a phone call. I don't think that it would annoy them or anything, and it would, if you haven't done that yet, it will hopefully help kind of put your mind at ease just to see where things are at. Chances are, if you haven't heard anything, then everybody else also still hasn't heard anything, but my advice would just be to give them a phone call. When I applied for the apprenticeship, I called so many times. I mean, I knew those office ladies pretty well before I even got in the apprenticeship, just because, you know, I would call and check on, you know, where I was at on the list, and, you know, were they accepting applications and all that kind of stuff beforehand. So just give them a call. Dwight Big Pipe. I'm bad at math. I need to get the math down. Help me, please. Dwight, what I would do is look into Khan Academy. That's something that I recommend in my aptitude test video. So, especially if you're saying that you're bad at math, when it comes, or if your concern is applying and taking the aptitude test. So just watch that video, use Khan Academy, and once you get into the apprenticeship, like I said, the concepts that you're going to learn are going to start off very basic, and then you're going to kind of slowly build off of those. And eventually you will be able to do some pretty complex equation solving for AC theory. But out in the field, yeah, there's lots of resources. You have like an Uglies book that you can use. You have your phone. There's all these different apps that you can download for bending pipe and stuff. So I wouldn't be too stressed. I think that you'll be just fine. Sean Leon Drums. Visit iPrep, IBEW on Google Pay. Pay for the course. It's very specific to the NECA IBEW aptitude test or Khan Academy. Yeah. Yep, definitely. That's cool. That looks like you're familiar with that. Dwight Big Pipe, thank you. All right. Buddy with the beard just lost his job. The guy you've done videos with. Yeah, John. So he was telling me about that. I don't know if you guys have watched this video yet. We already talked about this earlier today. It sounds like the company that he was working with, just work was drying up. And so I don't think it had anything to do with his work ethic or anything. I know John's a great electrician, very good at what he does. But yeah, that's unfortunate to hear. But at the same time, we have a ton of work out here in Local 48. So I guarantee you he's going to be just instantly into another company almost right away. And maybe he'll end up working with me. That'd be pretty sweet. I appreciate your input. Thank you. Yeah, anytime, anytime. Do you have to get the vaccine for working in the union? No, you do not have to get the vaccine for working in the union, at least not with Local 48. Even at the hospital that I work at, you're still not required to get it. I know they did offer it to all of us early on. Some of the guys at my work decided to get it, and some of us decided not to get it. So, yeah, as of right now, it's a choice. And if it comes down to it where they're forcing it on people, then I think you're going to start to see a lot of people maybe consider something else. I don't know. I don't know. So at this point, no, it's not forced. David, will tattoos affect the interview in a negative way? No, man, I don't think so at all. You know, tradesmen in general, like, they can be a little more rough around the edges anyways, and so, you know, having some tats or like long hair or something, that's not going to be an issue. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Asa, what's up, man? When are you going to do a Q&A with Aaron? So Aaron's my brother. If you guys saw the why my brother almost turned down the IBEW apprenticeship video, that's my brother Aaron in there. I don't know, man. Hopefully pretty soon. I want to do a live stream with John, maybe next, from Daily Electrician, and then probably Aaron after that. I think that'd be pretty sweet. Dude, we got to hang out sometime soon and catch up. It's been a while. All right, Ethan Johnson. How important are theories on the job right now, taking class on Ohm's law, and what voltage/current is, etc.? Well, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily have to be really great at theory to be an electrician out in the field, but knowing the theory is really going to make you stand out, and it's going to make you a much better problem solver. So here's an example of where like Ohm's law and theory came into play when I was very early on in my apprenticeship. So there was a situation at the hospital. We were working in one of the fire alarm panels, and there was supposed to be, I think it was like 24 volts at 2 terminals. And for whatever reason, we were taking our meter and we were testing the voltage, and we were getting like 14.7 volts or something like that, like 10 volts less than we should have been. And, you know, we were just scratching our heads like, what is going on here? Why are we getting less voltage here when there is 24 volts everywhere else? And then my boss, he's just like, oh, duh, yeah, because voltage is the same in parallel, but it is not the same in series. And so what he figured out was, okay, well, somewhere along the way between here and here, there is some sort of series connection, and that is why the voltage is less. And that ended up being absolutely right. And so as soon as we switched it into parallel, then we had 24 volts again. So just makes you faster and better at your job if you know it, but you don't have to be, an expert out in the field, but it does help. Okay, Luis, after the interview and getting ranked, how will they contact me afterwards? Should I keep an eye out for a phone call, email, or letter through the mail? Luis, I can't really answer that question confidently because I think every local is going to be slightly different in the way that they get back to you with your rank. So for me, when I first got in, they gave me a phone call and they also sent me a letter in the mail. But I think now, with all the COVID stuff going on, they don't want to be sending out as much mail and all that. So I think email is kind of the new standard that they set. But I would just call, the local that you applied for and ask them because, yeah, you definitely want to know how they're going to reach out to you because you're not going to want to miss that. How do you like your coffee? Pawning Ponds. I love it, man. It is great. I'm having cold brew right now because it is very, very hot here in my garage. That's where I shoot my videos. I have a fan set up right now and some cold brew. It's keeping me nice and cool. Yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it. Thanks for asking. Jeff Compton. There is no IBEW close to where I live. I wanted to relocate to get in, but I would need to drive out to the testing center, which is only open during the middle of the work week. Yeah, that's the thing. So when you're applying for the IBEW, a lot of times they're only going to have like very specific times and days where you can go and apply or take your aptitude test. For me, I was a store manager at AT&T, and it was pretty hard to coordinate getting those days off to go and take my test and my interview and apply and all that. But what I would say is, if this is the career that you want to do, that you want to pursue and get into, then, it's definitely worth taking the sacrifice and, making the drive out there to take your test. So there's not really any way around that, unfortunately. Big Hex. How long does the application process last? So speaking to how things work here in Portland, Oregon with the IBEW Local 48, it is a 3-month from start to finish application process. You're going to interview. No, you're going to apply. About a month later, you're going to have your aptitude test, and then about a month after that, you're going to have your interview. And then depending on how well you ranked, that is going to determine basically how much longer you're going to have to wait for your name to be called on the list. So I would say expect about 3 months. Yeah. What is the weirdest thing that you've seen on the job? Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, well, one thing that comes to mind right away, and this will make sense to some of you guys that, are electricians and understand, how panels and phases and electricity works. But I was working on I was like cutting in some new power in a suite at the hospital, and I needed to figure out what circuit these outlets were. And so I put my circuit tracer into the receptacle and I went to the panel and I was testing it, and some reason I was getting a beep on circuit 6 and it was beeping also on 12. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. Why am I getting 6 and 12? That doesn't make any sense. So I would go so I shut off circuit 6, went back, and I still had 120 volts at the receptacle. So I'm like, okay, that's strange. Went back to the panel, turned circuit 6 back on, and turned off circuit 12, Went back to the receptacle, same thing, still had 120 volts, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. And then my boss came up and he goes, oh, he's like, I've never seen anything like this before, but I bet you what happened is in the J box up in the ceiling, somebody probably accidentally tied circuit 6 and circuit 12 together because they're both C phase, and so they're both blue wires. So it was probably just a simple mistake, but basically, yeah, they had that receptacle pretty much dual fed, and yeah, it was kind of weird. I've never seen that before. So as soon as we figured out the issue, that was an easy thing to separate. But I'm glad that I was safe about it. You know, I didn't just stop at circuit 6, turn it off, and then go and start working and assume it was off, because if I did that, I definitely would have gotten bit. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, that's definitely something that you could run into. Yuri, I just wanted to say thank you for inspiring me during the pandemic to join the electrical trade. I'm having my interview for the apprenticeship in 2 weeks. Awesome, man. Awesome. That is so cool. Yeah, you know, I've said it before, but the reason why I started this channel was basically just because when I applied, there wasn't really anything like this that existed that really gave advice to people applying to get into the apprenticeship. You know, there's lots of channels that would teach theory and teach different, like how to do this, how to do that, but nothing really geared towards getting into the apprenticeship and all those different steps that you need to take. So, yeah, I saw that there was a need, and I decided that I didn't think that I'd be very good at it, but people seem to be really receptive to the videos, and I'm glad that, you know, people like you have found it and that it has inspired you and encouraged you to get into this. So yeah, you're very welcome, man. Curly Randall, how can I get into the IBEW? I'm 42. Awesome. So first thing that I want to say is the average age for a journeyman electrician in the United States is 41. So, and the reason why I say that is because I get a lot of guys that are like even in their early 30s or in their late 20s, and they say, you know, am I too old to be getting into the trade? And, you know, the answer to that question is definitely not. 42, you're basically right there at the average. So just give you some peace of mind right there. Maybe you weren't even concerned about that. But the way that you're going to get into it is by pretty much just go online, find which IBEW local is in your area, and once you found out, you know, what the local is, go on their website and start figuring out how you can apply, what the application requirements are, all that. For the most part, most IBEW locals are going to be the same. You know, you're going to apply, have an aptitude test, have an interview, and all that good stuff. So yeah, the first step is just doing your research, finding which IBEW local is in your area, and then finding out how to apply. And yeah, if you're new to my channel, basically this channel is meant to be a resource for you for all those steps along the way. So hopefully I can, you know, help you along the way, and maybe even answer some questions if you shoot them to me in the comments. Brotherman Vlogs, just took my test yesterday. Nice. Now waiting for the game. Now waiting game for the results. Right on. Yeah, that's awesome. I remember I was really excited to take my test. I had spent so much time preparing for it that you know, I knew that I passed. I didn't really have any doubt. But even though I was so confident that I passed, it was still kind of nerve-wracking to not have the official yes, you passed, even though I knew that I most likely did. But yeah, that's awesome. Wishing you the best of luck. I'm sure that you killed it though. Okay, Yuri, I had to carry solar panels up ladders, yeah, on my first CW rig. I have now switched to material handler. It wasn't worth the $14 for a beginning job, even though I learned a lot. Yeah, that sounds pretty physically demanding for sure. Ethan, how important is Ohm's law on the job? I kind of already answered that, so I'm actually going to skip ahead. But if you didn't see that answer, you can just move on back a little bit. Jordan Brandt, thinking about leaving HVAC for electrical or telecom. Any thoughts or guidance? Yeah, you know, I think that is a pretty logical step to take. You know, HVAC is a really fantastic career, and one of my buddies, he lives in Vegas, and he is very, very successful in his career as an HVAC. He's just killing it. But thoughts or guidance, you know, there's a lot of similarities in HVAC and electrical work, and as an electrician, you're going to be wiring up a lot of the HVAC components that you've probably also worked with but haven't done the electrical work for. So I think that you have a pretty big advantage over a lot of people that are trying to get into the trade. I would definitely suggest going with the IBEW. I'm going to be making probably a whole series of videos on this at some point, but pension, pay, there's healthcare, you know, all that. There's just so many great things about being in the IBEW. So I would definitely recommend trying to get in with the union if you can. And for guidance and more thoughts, I would just say check out my channel, watch my videos, because I go very in-depth, kind of explaining every single step in the process. So, but yeah, I would say to go for it, because I know typically electricians do make a little bit more. It's just an awesome career. It's a ton of fun. Blake, how long did it take you to get into the apprenticeship? I've been told up to 6 months if I get selected. Yeah, that's almost exactly how long it took me. It took me about 6 months to officially get my call to start from the date that I applied, but that's not including all of the prep work that I did beforehand, because, you know, I decided that I wanted to get into the apprenticeship well before they were accepting you know, applications. So I had already started working on my portfolio and studying for my aptitude test and everything before then. But yeah, anyways, 6 months, that sounds about right, depending on how well you rank, and it could be even as soon as 3 months. Okay, LU332 checking in, brother. Keep up the videos. Yeah, thanks, Christian. I really appreciate that, man. Thanks for watching. That guy 102, yes. They accept applications online for 48 now. That guy 102, he is ranked number 2 here in local 48 for Portland, Oregon. Dude, I need to buy you a beer or something, man. We got to get together and hang out. That is super cool. That is a huge accomplishment to be ranked number 2 out of thousands of people that apply. So yeah, good to know that we are accepting applications online now. Yeah, you're very welcome, Christian. Okay, thinking of getting into this line of work. Thank you for the videos, really appreciate it. Yeah, anytime, man. I love making these videos, and it can be very time consuming a lot of times. You know, I'll put anywhere between like 4 to 8 hours into each video. My last video was probably more like 10 to 15 hours. It's kind of crazy, you know, all the research and writing the script and filming and editing and everything that goes into it. So I'm I'm glad that you appreciate it, man. That's why I do this. Timothy Turk. Okay, to answer Christian Pond's question, if you stay in the state like California, check to see if it's reciprocating with other states. Washington is good with Oregon. Yeah, that's true. Same with a few other states. Yeah, so what that means, a reciprocating license, it means that if you have your license in Oregon, your electrical license will also basically be valid in Washington. I think that you still need to, no, you don't have to take a test, but you would need to, I think, still pay a fee or something. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I believe that's how it works. So yeah, that is very cool. That's a new thing that Washington and Oregon just did. Marcel, passed my aptitude test and have my interview this Tuesday. Your videos helped a bunch. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm really happy to hear that they have helped you out. And, you know, I say this in my bio, but it's like if I can help even just one person get into the trade, then, you know, all my efforts here making these videos for you guys has been worth it. So it's very encouraging and gives me the energy to keep on going, hearing things like that. So yeah, that's awesome. Junior, I'm barely getting out of high school in Oregon. Anything you'd recommend me to get started on being an electrician? What steps to get into an apprenticeship? So the video that I would recommend for you to watch is applying for the IBEW. That's a video that I have. I talk a lot about the portfolio in that video. You could also watch my portfolio video. And then my whole how to become an apprentice electrician series, that would also be really good because it explains all the steps that you need to take. And then also those videos will explain basically how to make yourself the best possible applicant for the apprenticeship. I've already kind of touched on this a little bit, but yeah, basically just start working on things now to add to your portfolio. Start doing projects around the house. Start working on your car. Start fixing appliances, whatever it is. Document that. Take pictures of that. Do some volunteer work, community service. Take some online courses, maybe. Anything like that that you can do, and then add to your portfolio is basically going to be proof to show the interview committee that you are absolutely the best applicant for the apprenticeship, and that you genuinely want to get into the trade and that you would be good at it. So, but check out those videos. I go very in depth in those. Question for Timothy: We plan to move to Las Vegas? Oh, maybe, okay, maybe you guys know each other or something. All right, just got into Ibew Local 143. They don't test for marijuana. Yeah, maybe not all locals do, and I imagine that if it gets legalized at a federal level, then, or a national level, then I don't think that we would probably be testing for it anymore, probably across the board. That being said, I know that the test would also have to basically not show like a false positive if you have smoked marijuana, but maybe test positive for something else. I don't know how all that works, but I would imagine at some point that's not going to be something that we test for, but it still is right now. But not at Local 143. Timothy Turk, dude, thanks for watching, man. Thanks for chiming in and all this. We'll have to do a live stream too. I think that'd be a ton of fun. Check out their labor and industry state online to see if they have other states that, do the reciprocating license. Yuri, do you automatically get a raise after you finish the apprenticeship? Yes, you do. So let me actually have this pulled up already. Let me explain how things work here in Portland, Oregon with Local 48 as far as the wages and raises go. So as a first-term apprentice working between 0 and 1,000 hours, the current rate is $20.14 per hour. And then once you pass that 1,000 hour mark, then you're going to be making $22.66 per hour. Then once you hit 2,000 hours, you're making $25.18. Once you hit 3,500, you're at up to $30.21. Once you hit 5,000 hours, you're at $35.25 an hour. And once you hit 6,500 hours, then you are up to $42.80. And that's where I'm at right now. I am very close, actually, to the 8,000 hour mark. But then once you turn out and get your journeyman's license, you go from the $42.80 up to $50.35. That is what the wages are here. But I know that we're also going to be getting another raise at the end of the year, so it's actually probably going to be higher than that by the time I turn out. Maybe 51 or 52, something like that. That'd be sweet. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Timothy. Yeah. White Wolf. All right. I'm thanking my lucky stars for this stream. I'm young. I'm young and dumb and have no idea how to get into the trade. I live in California and there appears to be a ton of random steps. Please help. There are a lot of steps if you're applying with the Ibew, and it can seem very overwhelming when you're just kind of taking a step back and looking at the whole process. But if you just focus on each step, as you get to it, and just work on doing the best that you can and preparing for that one step, then I think it's going to be more digestible and not feel as overwhelming. Yeah, what I would say too, though, is if you are new to my channel, check out my How to Become an Apprentice Electrician playlist, because I go very, very in depth into each step of the process into how to become an electrician. So check that out. I think my channel will serve as a good resource for you. Ya boy Skinny Pen says, so I'm on the list right now for my union, somewhere in the 400s. Got a job as a stockman 6 months ago to get more experience. Nice. That is a great idea. And planning on interviewing again to boost myself up on the list. Yeah. So I have a whole video on that. It sounds like where you're at, they call a material handler a stockman. Here they call it a material handler, and basically what that is it's somebody that isn't in the apprenticeship yet. It's kind of like the step that you would take maybe before getting into the apprenticeship just to get experience. It's a great way to learn all the tools and get some on-the-job experience, but then also prove to the interview committee that you're serious about wanting to get into the trade. So becoming a material handler or a helper or a stockman, if that's the same thing, that's a very good step to take to improve your qualifications. And I mentioned this in my material handler video, and it's almost like a golden ticket into the apprenticeship. Now, you're not guaranteed to get in just because you were a material handler, but if you pass your aptitude test and you do fairly well on your interview, but you were a material handler, I think you have a very, very good chance of getting in. Obviously, if you bomb your interview, or maybe if there's just a bunch of other people that applied that were even more qualified, then maybe you want to get in right away. But it's a great way to increase your chances of getting in for sure. Okay, Timothy Trick, based on your hours in the union, you will get a raise every 6 months until you journey it out. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, close to every 6 months, and I know here in Local 48, it gets to a point where it's pretty much like almost every year where you get one. But yeah, it's based off of your hours. Your boy Skinny Pen says, how long should I work as a stockman before I re-interview? So here in Local 48, they make you wait 6 months before you can re-interview again. So what I would find out is, ask your training center and find out how long you have to wait before you can re-interview. And what I would suggest is, as soon as they allow you to, I would just re-interview again. I don't think that there's any reason to wait any longer. Even if you're only a stockman for 6 months, I think that is still a very good amount of time to kind of learn the ropes and learn the tools and the material, and hopefully get enough hours to qualify you to re-interview. Because I know here they do have a certain amount of hours that you need to get before you can actually, like on-the-job related hours before you can re-interview. Yuri, right on. Thanks, Timothy. Man, there's so many comments, you guys. Wow, this is so crazy. I can't believe you guys all watch my channel. I don't know if I'd watch me. Okay. James Plev, I have my interview on June 11th for Local 43 in New York. Any quick tips? Also, when you join the union, will you have one journeyman that will teach you things, or will they change journeyman on you? Yeah, those are great questions. Quick tips is to have a killer portfolio, and actually if you have your interview on the 11th, you have plenty of time to still put one together. Watch my documents that you need when you apply for the apprenticeship playlist. That's going to show you how to write a good resume, cover letter, and portfolio. But your portfolio is going to be the most important piece of your of those documents. That's going to prove to the apprenticeship interview committee, that you are the best for the job. And then what I would say is, I don't know what questions you're going to be asked, but generally most companies and most unions will ask something along the lines of, why should we choose you, and why do you want to be an electrician? So spend some time and come up with some really good answers, or at least things that you want to include in those answers, and I think that you'll kill it at your interview. And then also watch my interview video if you haven't seen that yet, because I go very in-depth explaining the whole process and all that. Dak Roy, my first week of school is next week. Thanks for making your videos. That's awesome, man. Oh, next month. Okay. Yeah, that is awesome. I was on cloud 9 when I started my apprenticeship. You know, it's such a big accomplishment once you finally make it in, because there's so many steps, and you know, there's so many other people that you're basically competing against when you're trying to get in. So I remember the feeling. I remember not just being so excited to get out of my old job as a store manager with AT&T and actually have a life again and be able to spend time with my family, but gosh, yeah, to finally be doing something that I really wanted to be doing. It's a great feeling. So yeah, congratulations. That is awesome. Okay, Max Castillo says, might have already asked, but when is the next application opening? Also, would you recommend being a material handler first? If so, how long? Yeah, I would definitely recommend being a material handler first if you can. If they're accepting applications right now, then I would just probably apply right away. If you are asking about here in Local 48, if we're accepting applications, let me see. Yeah, IBW Local 48 is accepting applications right now, and you can apply online. So, but no harm in trying to become a material handler right now anyways, because that's just going to show, you know, that you're really serious about wanting to get into the trade, whether it means taking that time beforehand to become a material handler, or just get in. So typically I think 6 months would be long enough though as a material handler, but of course you could go longer. I did apply and they said I need a GED and 1 year of algebra. Is that true? Yeah, that sounds about right. A GED or a high school diploma is typically what they require. I think at most locals, that's, I believe, what they require here. 1 year of algebra, yeah, and I know even here they would take it a step further and say that you have to have basically like there's a minimum qualification for the grade that you got in your algebra, and if you didn't meet that requirement, it is a pretty low bar, but if you didn't meet that requirement, then there is a math class that you can take, I believe through the Ibew, or at least they partner with them, and that will pretty much get you that algebra requirement. So yeah. Okay, let's go to more questions. Max, you live in Portland too, right on. You know, one of these days maybe we should do like a get together, hang out or something. Maybe when more places open up and you can have more than 6 people at one table. That'd be fun. Mike's Tool Shed. Whoa, no way. Dude, that's crazy that you're watching this right now. Wow, I watched your videos when I was trying to get into the apprenticeship, just like learning about tools and stuff, so that's super cool that you're watching this right now. Sweet. What's your go-to meter? So I have the Fluke, I think it's the 610. Let me look it up real quick. Amazon. Let's see. Fluke. Oh, no. It's the 117. So I really like, yeah, the Fluke 117. I do a lot of fire alarm at the hospital, and one thing that I like about this is that basically I can measure, let's see if I can actually find the specific. Well, basically I can read high resistance levels, which is really important to me, because a lot of times I am checking for end-of-line resistors, and at the hospital they're either using 24K ohms or 1.2K ohms, and I know a lot of meters do not go up that high, so the Fluke 117 kind of does it all. Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I'll show you guys actually, if you can see. See if you guys can see that. The Fluke 117, that's a great meter. Definitely recommend it. Okay. Timothy Turk, thank you, sir, for answering me. KL Hutch Fishing, failed my aptitude test. I'm really sorry to hear that. You know, there's lots of people, though, that apply and have to take their aptitude test 2 or 3 times, or have to interview 2, 3, 4 times. So I would just say don't let that get you too discouraged. Just keep on keeping on, and take it as a learning experience. And now you've seen firsthand what is on the actual aptitude test, so now you know how to even better be prepared for the next time that you go to take it. So yeah, I think that having failed it, but knowing what you know now, I think that you'll do a real great job next time. And yeah, watch my aptitude test video if you haven't yet. Khan Academy is a real great resource for helping you prepare for that. Diego Rodriguez says, I am graduating from high school very soon. What should my next steps be to get into the trade? So yeah, I've kind of answered this a couple times for other people, but start working on your portfolio like right now. If you don't know what that is, I have my portfolio video, and then I also have my applying for the Ibew video. I would recommend watch the applying for the Ibew apprenticeship video first, and then maybe the portfolio video after that. The portfolio video just kind of expands and elaborates a little bit more. But start doing projects, start working on your car, start fixing appliances, help your buddy build a fence, and take pictures of that and document it, and start compiling all that into basically a Word document that you can print out and have pictures with captions to explain, you know, different things that you've worked on. And what that basically shows is that, you know, one, you are mechanically inclined and that you're capable of building and working on and fixing things, but then just that you're also genuinely interested in electrical work and construction, building and fixing things and all that. So watch those videos, though. That will give you a lot more of an in-depth answer. I need to make a whole video on that, though, applying, or what the next step would be after high school. Okay, I just went to the union yesterday. I'm in the books as a CW1. What's the difference between a CW and an apprentice? So a CW, I believe, stands for a construction wireman. And so from my understanding is a construction wireman is somebody that is pretty much just doing the physical work, but they're not really versed in like the electrical code or theory or anything. They're kind of just like somebody that is qualified to do very basic electrical work. So whereas, you know, an electrician or an actual apprentice, you're going to be learning code, you're going to be learning theory, you're going to be working on circuits. So that may not be the best answer, but a CW, from my understanding, is not like an actual apprentice or an actual electrician, whereas the apprenticeship will teach you the code and the theory, and you'll actually get an electrical license when you finish. David Nunes, do you have any apprentices who organized into the union who did not start over in the union apprenticeship? Yes. Okay, let's see. You also said, I'm close to getting my license and I don't want to start over in the union apprenticeship. Any advice? So what I would say is, if you're already close to turning out and getting your license, I would just finish where you're at, get your license, and then at any time you can just go to whatever local union is in your area, and you can probably very quickly sign up to become a member and see what jobs are open, see where they need some extra help, and start working for a company like the next day. So I know here at Local 48, it's a very, very quick process. If you already have your license, anybody can just walk in off the street and basically sign some papers, and they'll give you the basic spiel and explain how the pensions and all that work for you. But it's very quick, and anybody at any time can organize into the electrical union. So that's what I would do. You're down? Yeah, dude, let's do it, man. Let's do it. I'll buy you a beer for being ranked number 2. That's sick. Joe, hey man, do you know how a rank 209 sounds out of 300 in Orange County, California? So it's hard to say because different unions are accepting apprentices in at a different rate. So like I said, here in Portland, Oregon, we're bringing in, or at least we were when I applied, 18 new apprentices every single month. So for me, ranked number 65, it took about 3 months for me to get in. My brother ranked 118, and he made it in, but I think if he were ranked any further on the list, he may not have made it in. So just to be like completely honest, I would think that 209 probably isn't gonna be close enough to 1 to actually get accepted. I hate to say that, but so maybe I'm wrong, but if that is the case, then what I would recommend doing right now is looking into becoming a material handler. I think that's probably going to be the best route, because you're basically getting your foot in the door, you're getting the hands-on experience, you're working around electricians, hearing the lingo, you're learning the materials and the tools and all that, and that will show to the interview committee the next time that you go to interview, assuming that you don't get a call to start, then yeah, you'll be that much better of an applicant, and I think probably do very, very well having material handler experience going in. But who knows, maybe they're going to be needing a bunch of people to start, and if that's the case, if they also aren't opening up applications for more people to apply, and they just want to work down on the list that they have right now, then you could still make it in. But I just don't know for sure. So yeah. Amy, hi, I'm researching to figure out the process to apply for an apprenticeship, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for this channel and being such a valuable source of information. Amy, you are so very welcome. It's my absolute pleasure to make these videos for you guys, and I am assuming with your name, Amy, that you are probably a female getting into the trade, and that is awesome. I know that here in Local 48, there's a huge push to bring more women into the trade, and because of that, I would say that you would probably even have almost an advantage getting in, because they do want to make the trade more diverse and have more women in the local, and I think that's how it is just kind of across the board with IBW locals. So I think that you'll find, hopefully, that not that's going to be easy getting in, but I think that that's going to be to your advantage. So yeah, that's really cool. I have worked alongside tons of great female electricians, had class with lots of female electricians, and it is very normal now. It's not something that is frowned upon, or yeah, it's just very normal to work alongside other tradeswomen. So yeah, that's really cool, and I'm happy to hear that my channel is serving as a good resource for you. Okay. Would you say that it's hard to become an apprentice if you're only 22? I was 22 when I got into the apprenticeship. Yeah, I was 22. So it's doable. I did it, and I didn't have any construction experience prior to getting in. No trade-related experience whatsoever. So yeah, it's definitely possible, for sure. The average age for a first-year apprentice is, I think it's 29, if I remember correctly. So you are definitely on the young side getting in. My buddy though, Jeremy, I want to say he was only 18 when he got in. He got in right out of high school and he's killing it right now. That'd be kind of sweet if he's watching right now. But yeah, 22 is a great age to get in. Little flip. Going to my electrician trade school soon. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's a great trade. Burnt chicken nugget. Nice. I like that name. I'm 17 and took the online aptitude test at my local IBW union today. They told me I passed right after I finished the test. Nice. Wow. That's super nice. I turn 18 this November. What should I do in the meantime until I turn 18? Just work on your portfolio. Definitely, that's what I would do. Work on practicing your interview questions. Make sure that you can confidently answer why you want to become an electrician and why they should choose you. But yeah, watch my portfolio video and my interview video. I think that those videos will help you out a ton. And you can start working on your resume and cover letter as well. So those videos will go more in depth. Jennifer Madrosin, that's my mom. Thanks, Mom. Are you still watching? That's cool. Mr. Jice, I believe, is how you pronounce your name or last name. I'm waiting on the results of my aptitude test and want to prepare my portfolio in the meantime. In the past few months, I've replaced all of the lights in my house. Nice. Would finished pictures be enough? I mean, I think that would be very impressive to the... I think that'd be very impressive. I think the interview committee would love to see that, and I think that will go a long way in helping you get in. I would also suggest including more things than just that, but even just that alone is going to be very, very good to include because it is electrical work, right? It applies directly to the trade that you're trying to get into. So, but what I would say is, like, if you need to change spark plugs or brakes or anything on your car, maybe do that too. Maybe find, other little things that you can do here or there to add to your portfolio. Just because the more that you have, the better of an applicant you're gonna seem like to the interview committee. Timothy Turk, Steven, great job. Sorry I did not mean to hijack some of the questions. Need to go, but you're awesome. Keep it up, brother. Oh, Tim, dude, you didn't hijack them, man. You're great. I really appreciate you chiming in, actually. Hopefully we see each other soon. I'd love to come and visit you guys in Seattle again soon, or maybe you guys come visit us here. Okay. Hey man, how many apprentices do they usually take in every month at your union? I'm currently waiting for Local 46. Typically, at my union is 18 apprentices per month. That's how many they were taking in when I first applied. But that may have slowed down a little bit during all of the craziness over the past year and a half now. Wow, crazy, time flies. But yeah, 18. That's typically how many they would take in each month. Okay, what's your method on learning theoretical concepts? So I learn probably better on my own. A lot of times, I'll be in class and the teacher will be explaining something, some sort of some theory or equation, whatever, and it'll make sense to me, but by the time that I go home and open up my book and start reading on my own how to do it, that's when it really clicks and more so sticks for me. So just kind of spending time on my own studying. Abdul says, after I graduate high school, can I get into the Ibew apprenticeship with no experience? How do I sign up? You can definitely, apply with no experience. And what I would recommend doing is just go online and look into whatever your local Ibew is in your area, and you should be able to apply either online or in person, but all of the information should be right there. Yeah, you can definitely apply straight out of high school. Seeing all these questions about people wanting to get in right out of high school really makes me want to do a video soon on recent high school graduates trying to get into the trade. I think that'd be a really good topic. It's something that I've already been thinking about, but all of your guys' questions today are really making me want to move that to the front of my list. So hopefully I'll have a video like that out pretty soon. Chris Sanchez. Chris says, I have an interview June 15th, and I work in appliances, and I had a little experience in wiring. Okay, good. Should I bring it up? And any tips to impress or say any good questions to ask them? I'm anxious. Yeah, well, first off, definitely, I think that's worth mentioning. Any sort of wiring that you've done, you're probably going to have a leg up on most people that are applying. I think a lot of people trying to get into the trade don't have any electrical experience whatsoever, so I think that's definitely something worth mentioning and including photos of in your portfolio. Tips to impress them, so definitely watch my interview video if you haven't already. I'm sure that you already have, but one good thing that you can do and I mentioned this in that video, is find out what the I'm pretty sure it's that video I mentioned this. Now I'm second guessing myself, but find out what your IBEW local's like mission statement is. Find out what their core values are, and do research on projects that they've been a part of, and try to find ways to integrate that information into your resume, your portfolio, and your cover letter. And because that's going to show not only do your values align with theirs, but also that you went way above and beyond, probably more than 95% of the people applying, and you actually learned and memorized the mission statement and core values, and so much so that you can even integrate them into your questions or answers. So I would definitely do that, and have a good response for why should we choose you and why do you want to be an electrician, because they're probably going to ask something like that. Okay, let's move over to next questions. Amy says, would having been on a FRC robotics team in high school be relevant to add to the application? Yes, I think that is a really great thing to add to the application. Yeah, definitely. That's one of those things that you can do in high school that will definitely make you stand out. Or if you did like auto shop or any other sort of like trade related class, you should definitely include anything like that, I think, on your resume. And then also probably bring it up in your interview if it makes sense to bring it up. But yeah, I think that's a great thing to mention for sure. Dylan Termer says, any tips on how to get a material handler job? So from my understanding, you can just go directly to your local union and you apply through them. As far as my understanding goes, you don't apply with a training center. You apply for the actual union. And I think it's literally you just go there and you sign your name on the list, and I don't even think there's typically an interview. Maybe with your local there is, but I don't think there is here, and I think they'll just work their way down the list and then give you a call once your name shows up on the list. So just go and apply. That's what I would say. Okay. Let's find some more questions. David, you're welcome, man. You're totally welcome. Okay, Austin. Austin says, hey bro, love your channel. Has a lot of great information. I will be 21 in August. I graduated high school in 2019. I'm trying to decide if I should consider the trades or go back to community college. So I have a video on college versus the trades, and what I would just say is that, like, do what you want to do. Do what's going to make you happy. Do what would be a fulfilling career for you. So if you plan on getting into the trades and becoming an electrician, then I would probably not suggest going to community college because, I mean, yeah, you're going to be learning valuable information, but in terms of like how that, it might be kind of a waste of money and time if this is what you're going to try to get into doing. You could take electrical theory classes, and maybe there's even a code class or something that you could take. And that might be a good idea because that would also increase your chances of getting in. But if I could go back, because I also did a year of community college, if I could go back, I would probably not have gone to community college, saved that money, and just tried getting into the trade even sooner. So that's what I would suggest. But if you want to be like a doctor or an engineer or whatever, then yeah, community college might be necessary. Okay. Yeah, Amy says, I am in fact female. Yeah, lucky guess. Yuri, would you recommend I bring up that I was working for the union doing solar, nice, during my interview, even though I quit to get a material handler job? I think that is definitely something worth mentioning, but I mean, I don't know all of the whole backstory to why you quit and why you want to become a material handler instead. Maybe if you position it in a way to where you were doing solar, but then you decided that you wanted to become an electrician, but you wanted to become a material handler to get more experience working around electricians. If you can position that transition in a way that makes sense to them and makes it seem like you did it because you wanted to become an electrician, then I would definitely mention it. It's really all about how you present these things. Yeah, I think that would definitely be worth doing. I was 30 when I started with no experience. Okay, Dylan says, I've been looking into moving to the Pacific corner of America, Washington, Idaho, and Oregon specifically. Of those states, what would you recommend for an aspiring electrician? So Idaho is awesome. Yeah, my wife and I have even considered moving to Idaho. One of my stipulations is I know that their union doesn't pay as much out there. Oregon and Washington, you make great money as an electrician. So here, local 48 journeymen make $50.35 an hour, and I believe in local 46, Seattle, Washington, it's like $60 an hour as an electrician out there. So either one of those would be a great, big, very strong union to be a part of. That's what I would recommend. Okay. Okay. Mr. Azek. I'm just now looking into becoming an electrician. However, I've missed the deadline for the Ibew this year because this has been a recent thing for me. Should I work as a helper? Yeah, 100%. That's what I would do. Yeah, sometimes different Ibew locals, maybe they'll only accept applications like once a year. It sounds like maybe that is the case with your local. So yeah, use this time to your advantage. Become a material handler right away if you can, because that's going to be very much to your advantage when you go and have an interview, because you can say something along the lines of, I really wanted to become an electrician, and by the time that I wanted to go apply, I had just missed the deadline, but I knew that this is what I wanted to do, so I went ahead and spent the last year becoming and working as a material handler to gain experience and kind of get a head start on my career. So now here I am a year later applying for the apprenticeship with experience as a material handler, and I'm ready to take the next step and get in. Something like that. But that's what I would definitely do, even if it means taking a pay cut from your current job to make that happen. Because if this is a career that you really want to pursue and you're definitely going to get into it, then it's worth, taking small sacrifices beforehand to be making great money and have an awesome career later on. Okay. Mark, I was looking at basic electric concept classes at my local community college here in Arizona. Any recommendations for what to look for to build my resume for the apprenticeship application? So really any sort of electrical class, any like electrical, anything that has electrical theory in it. You could even learn about like transformers, even basic like code would be good things to learn. It's hard to say because different community colleges will offer different classes on different things, but anything relating to electrical theory will definitely be worth your time if that's something that you want to do to increase your qualifications. So I would highly recommend doing anything that seems like it applies to electrical work. Sorry, I know that's not super specific, but okay. Carl says, thank you for the great videos. I'm waiting for applications to open up so I can apply. Yeah, man, you're very welcome. I'm really happy to hear that people are watching the videos and enjoying them. It's my pleasure. So hopefully they can be a great resource for you as your union opens up and starts accepting applications. Okay. Mr. Azek says, unfortunately, I missed the application deadline by a month or so. Oh, man. I'm in, okay. Wish I checked sooner. Yeah. When I was 18, I actually thought about becoming an electrician back then. And by the time that I was seriously looking into it, I found out that I had just missed the deadline too. And I'm honestly kind of thankful for that, because I wonder, had I actually made the cut for the deadline and applied, like I wouldn't have had a strong resume, a strong portfolio, a strong cover letter, like any of that. And I feel like I probably wouldn't have made it in. And I don't know. I'm thankful for the way that things worked out, and even though it took me longer to finally get in, I got a lot of good experience as a store manager for AT&T, and I think that store manager experience, proving that I'm a good leader and that I'm capable of leading a team and all that, I think that is one of the things that really helped me get into the apprenticeship. So yeah, it's a bummer, but sometimes these things happen for a reason. Mark, trying to figure out how to stand out. I'm 50 and nervous about my prospects of getting in. Well, Mark, so you are, you're still definitely young enough to get into the trade for sure. I have heard of people that have applied and got into the trade even in their 60s, and you can still apply at 50 years old, get into the trade, and you could still have, a fairly long and fulfilling career as an electrician. Most apprenticeships will last anywhere between 4 to 5 years, and I don't think that your age would be something that would be, too big of a hindrance for you getting in. What I would say is just, work extra hard on your portfolio and your resume and cover letter, and have good answers to the interview questions. I think that you could definitely still make this in. There's lots of people that get in, later on. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I think you still got this. Dylan Trimmer, yeah, thanks, Mac. Courtney Lee says, I'm still trying to figure out how I got in. LOL. I referenced your channel in the interview of how I found out about the career, and they just looked at me and smiled. No way. Was that here at Local 48? Or that's kind of funny. I wonder if they had heard about my channel somehow. It's just crazy to me that so many of you guys watch my channel. I don't know if I'd watch myself, but I put out the best information that I can for you guys. So I'm happy that you guys find it to be useful. Donovan Malcolm says, yo bro, I'm 19 and I take the aptitude test on the 11th. Thanks for all the knowledge, G. Yeah, man, it is my absolute pleasure to put out this information for you, and I'm happy to hear that it's been a good resource for you. Okay. Oh, let's see. Max says, Mark, my oldest apprentice started when he was 54. Yeah. Yeah, totally. You hear about it happening all the time. The only drawback is time and service towards retirement. Yep. He has had to work longer because of his late start. Yeah, that's true. And, Mark, you might still have some retirement or pension already figured out. I mean, I don't know. But, yeah, that's kind of one of the unfortunate things is, you'd have to put in more years to have a better pension by the time that you retire. But hey, most jobs and careers out there don't even offer a pension at all, so you're already ahead of the game in regards to having a career that has a pension. So Mark says, that's great. Thanks again. This channel is great for figuring this process out. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. I'm happy to hear that it has been a good resource. Chris, thanks. You are great help. Keep it up. You're very welcome, Chris. You're welcome, Dylan. Amy says, would the coding need to be a specific language, as in would basics in Java work, or would other languages be more relevant? Would the coding need to be a specific language? I'm not entirely sure that I understand what you're asking there, Amy. Maybe you were talking to somebody else. Yeah, anyways, if you're talking about like how I mentioned taking code classes, that would be electrical code, building code. There we go. One cool guy says building code. Okay. Oh, yep. There's Mac. When he talks about code, it's National Electric Code on how things are supposed to be installed. Google NEC and you can see more of what it is. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Mac. Thanks for chiming in there. Union 20 out here in Texas. What's also funny is my first journeyman was the former VP. Oh, no way. Okay, cool. Well, either way, that is awesome. Yeah, Texas is great. My wife has some cousins that live in Texas. We've never been over there, but we've always wanted to visit and see them. So that's cool. Okay, Max says, one of the best things about being an electrician is we are one of the first trades on the job in the last wave. Exactly, yeah. So we're not like painters where we show up and, we paint for a few days and then leave and then maybe come back at the very end and do some touch-up. Like, we have a lot of work to do from beginning to end. And so because of that, there's a huge demand for electricians because we're always busy working on jobs. It takes a long time to do the work that we have. So, yep. Mac or Amy says, oh man, whoops, thanks, LOL, for the clarification. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought you meant. She's referencing programming coding. Yeah, Java is computer coding. Okay, well, it looks like I'm all caught up on the questions. Dang, wow, 107 minutes. This time flew by. I think I'm probably going to call it quits now. It looks like we're approaching 2 hours here for the live stream. So, okay, I'll make this one my last question. Dog Talk 24/7. Oh, Mac, you're good, man. You're all good. I appreciate it. Yeah, Dog Talk 24/7 says, how much time do you specifically need for a residential contractor's license? Well, let's just find out. It's definitely less than, the full-on inside wireman electrical license. Let's see. Apprenticeship program, limited residential. It is a 2.5-year program here in Portland, Oregon, if you do the residential program. So, yeah, it's like half as long basically as the full inside electrician program. Now, doing the inside program is something that I would really recommend doing over residential or even low voltage, because I have worked alongside a lot of low voltage guys, but I've also talked to a lot of residential guys at school, and a lot of them kind of end up wishing that they had, their full-on electrical license, and so a lot of them sort of wish that they had just pursued the full-on inside electrical license at the beginning, because that means taking more classes, which is more time, and potentially taking a pay cut in order to, be moved to a certain level in the apprenticeship. I don't think you would have to start at the very beginning, but it's just easier if you start doing the whole program from the get-go for the inside electrical program. But the residential is great. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with low voltage. They're great, awesome careers, and you're still doing electrical work. Yeah, 30. Dude, Mac, I really appreciate it. Thank you for chiming in. I know I already said that, but I am only a 4th-year apprentice, and I'm happy to admit that I don't know everything, and I still have a ton to learn. So having people like you on here to chime in and help me answer these questions, it really helps a lot. So I really, really appreciate it, actually. Thank you so much. More lives would be awesome. Yeah, David. I need to figure out exactly what I want to do. Maybe I'll do I don't know if I'll do it every single week. Maybe I'll just pick one day a week that I would do these, or every other week or something like that. But if you guys enjoyed this, then yeah, definitely let me know. It sounds like you guys are, so that's pretty awesome. That guy 102. Oh, you sent me a message on Instagram. Not sure if I got it. Let me check. My Instagram is flooded with messages right now, and I have so many messages to catch up on because my phone, a section of my screen isn't working actually, and so it takes forever just to even type out a simple sentence. So I haven't been super responsive with responding to messages on Instagram, but yeah, I'll check and see if I have that from you. Okay, yep, thanks for answering at the tail of the live stream. Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Appreciate your inside knowledge too, Mac. Yeah, all right, you guys. Well, I think that is going to be it. I'm going to wrap up this live stream. So I really appreciate you guys watching this today. If you haven't already done so, definitely subscribe to my channel. I like to take a lot of time and make very high quality videos where I give very in-depth answers.